It was a typical morning at the bustling airport, with travelers rushing through security, flight attendants greeting passengers, and airport staff performing their usual duties. The smell of coffee permeated the air as people scurried to catch their flights. Amidst the chaos, a woman walked through the terminal, her posture elegant, her confidence radiating with each step. She was dressed in a sharp business suit, her long hair pulled back into a neat bun. Her name was Jasmine Thomas, a name known only to a select few in the world of corporate power, but not yet recognized by the staff at this particular airline. Jasmine had just boarded her flight to attend a crucial business meeting in New York. She was the CEO of a billion-dollar tech company, one of the leading firms in artificial intelligence, and her company had recently secured an acquisition deal with a rival corporation, marking a new chapter in her career. However, her success wasn't just about the numbers on her paycheck. She had fought tooth and nail in a male-dominated industry, proving time and again that her ideas, her intellect, and her leadership had the power to shape the future. As she made her way toward her seat in first class, Jasmine was met with a flight attendant who appeared to be slightly irritated. The attendant, whose name was Maria, had been having a stressful morning. A few passengers had complained about delays, the crew was behind on serving breakfast, and there was a growing tension in the air. Jasmine, not being the type to make a scene, calmly approached her seat. But before she could sit down, Maria, without a second thought, instructed her to stand back. "Excuse me, ma'am," Maria said, her voice sharp and slightly condescending. "Please step aside. We're still trying to get everything settled here." Jasmine, surprised by the abruptness, looked at her with a raised eyebrow. "I'm just trying to get to my seat. Is everything all right?" Maria, perhaps feeling the pressure of the morning rush or simply having a bad day, didn't take kindly to Jasmine's calm demeanor. "I said step aside." Maria repeated, this time louder. She gestured toward another part of the cabin as though Jasmine were an inconvenience. Taken aback but trying to remain composed, Jasmine stood still for a moment, not knowing what to say. She had been through worse moments in her career, but never had she experienced such an interaction in a setting that was supposed to be professional and courteous. "I don't think that's necessary," Jasmine replied firmly, her tone now more authoritative. Without warning, Maria snapped. In a fit of frustration, she slapped Jasmine across the face, the sharp sound echoing through the quiet cabin. The passengers in the vicinity gasped, some looking away in shock, others frozen in disbelief. The slap had been unprovoked, and the severity of it was unimaginable. Jasmine, who had spent her life in high-stress environments, was momentarily stunned. She placed a hand on her cheek, feeling the sting, but she didn't allow herself to react emotionally. She took a deep breath, the years of handling difficult situations kicking in. "What do you think you're doing?" Jasmine said in a low, controlled voice, her anger simmering just beneath the surface. Maria's face turned pale as she realized what she had just done. It wasn't that Jasmine had raised her voice or made a scene. It was the realization that she had slapped someone who wasn't just a random passenger. The woman she had just struck was no ordinary traveler. She was the owner of the airline's competitor, a tech mogul, who had the power to affect the careers of everyone on the plane, including the flight attendants. Jasmine was no regular customer. She was the kind of person who owned the very company that could buy this airline and make a significant impact on the industry. With trembling hands, Maria took a step back, her face flushing with embarrassment. I'm so sorry," she stammered, not sure how to fix the situation. "I didn't know who you were. I was just—" Jasmine's eyes locked onto Maria's, her gaze cold but not unforgiving. "You didn't know who I was? That's the problem, isn't it?" she said, her voice calm but carrying an undeniable authority. "You thought you could treat me like anyone else on this flight, not realizing that your actions could cost you more than just your job. It could cost you everything." The realization hit Maria like a ton of bricks. She had no idea that the woman she had just slapped was Jasmine Thomas, the billionaire CEO who had built an empire from scratch. She had heard of her company's success, but she had never connected the dots between the name and the woman standing in front of her. The shock of the encounter was too much for Maria to handle. I I didn't mean to, Maria repeated, her voice cracking with fear and regret. I am so sorry. Please don't report this. Jasmine took a moment to gather her thoughts, her expression softening ever so slightly. I won't report it, she said, but I'll make sure you never forget this moment. Actions have consequences, Maria. With that, Jasmine turned and walked to her seat, the whole cabin still tense from the shocking encounter. The rest of the flight went by in silence. No one dared speak a word. Maria, on the other hand, was left to contemplate the consequences of her impulsive actions. In her mind, she kept hearing the words Jasmine had said to her, "You thought you could treat me like anyone else." The weight of those words lingered long after the flight had landed, and Maria's life would never be the same again. Jasmine, for her part, went on with her day. She had learned long ago that not everyone would treat her with respect, but it was how she handled those moments that mattered. And she knew, deep down, that this was yet another challenge she had conquered in her own way.